Howdy guys, welcome back to the channel. I am coming to you today with a video that I did not plan on making because quite frankly, we all know about markups. We all know about them. We don't like them. It is what it is. But I received some interesting information and also the most egregious markups I've ever seen in my life. And I felt like I had to share it and get your reaction. And also, who knows, maybe this video is going to somehow find its way to the right person so that GM can try to stop this. Although I really don't think there's a whole lot they can do. I think they actually are likely trying to stop it, but you know, the manufacturer really doesn't have a whole lot of power when it comes to what dealerships do with the way that whole system is designed. So we'll see. But basically, I figured, as I'm sure you all did as well, that there were going to be some pretty wild markups with the ZR1X given the release of those insane numbers, you know, the fastest production car by far. And, you know, I try to think of any car that's even close, and there is none at all, which is pretty cool from the standpoint of like, we have a Corvette that is supposed to cost 250 grand-ish, and it's faster than literally anything, not just faster than anything in its price range, faster than anything out there. The only car that can beat it as far as being quick is concerned, not talking about, you know, overall top speed eventually, like a Bugatti Chiron or something. The only car that's faster is a Rimac Navara, but I don't count that as a real car because it's not a real production car. It costs, what, $3 million. They've made like 20 of them in 5 years. That's not a real car. The ZR1X is the king of all production cars, ICE or otherwise. It is the king of all production cars. It's absolutely nuts. So I figured when those numbers came out, 8.6 in the quarter mile, 1.6 seconds 0 to 60. I figured that the markups were going to be crazy, but I honestly did not think, honest to God, I did not think that we were going to see markups like this. I also got some, like I said, interesting information from people in the know, and it seems like GM is trying to combat this, and it's very interesting. And don't worry, I have the receipts. I've got the DMs, and I can show you guys these messages from people that know and also from dealers offering me and other people a ZR1X at some pretty crazy prices, and I think you're going to be shocked. So let's get into it here. The first thing I want to cover is things do seem a little bit weird with the ZR1X, don't they? It seems like dealerships aren't advertising their allocations like we saw before and like we've seen with other releases. And it turns out that is actually by design. So GM apparently, according to some information here, and I have this from multiple sources, not just one, GM has told dealers not to advertise their ZR1X allocations publicly. So I guess it's more of a behind the scenes thing where dealers are to call people on their list and say, hey, we have an allocation. Do you want to build the car? And the reason I suspect they're doing this is it could be one or two things. It could be A, they are trying to cut down on the markups genuinely, because if the information isn't public, well, then you don't have a situation where, you know, a dealer says, hey, we've got an allocation, and then you have 100 people saying, hey, whatever the last guy is offering, I'll pay 10 more. If the information on the allocation is not public, it does, or at least it should, cut down on that kind of bidding process that you might see. Or B, so they're either trying to do that, or B, they're just trying to make it not public information that dealers are offering markups. They're trying to cut down on the bad press, so to speak. And I know a lot of people love to blame the manufacturer during these types of things, but the truth is, of course, like I said, they really don't have a ton of power when it comes to cutting down on markups. The dealership buys the car from the manufacturer, like with any other car, and then the dealer sells it at usually, you know, normally MSRP or less, usually less actually. And that's how it goes. The dealership makes the money in between what the invoice cost was and what they sell it for. When a dealer sells a car for, you know, 100K, 200K, or as you're going to see in a second, more than 200K over MSRP, the dealership is making all of that money. So not only does the manufacturer not make the money, they get no money, they also look bad because of course they come out with the car and say, hey, the car is going to be, you know, 200 grand. And then dealerships are charging 400, 500. And then the consumer says, now, wait a minute. I thought this car was 200K. What's the deal here? So not only does the manufacturer not make any money, they also look bad in the process. Now, of course, the dealership doesn't care because what do they care about the image of the brand? They don't care. They don't care about the brand. Truly, they really don't. And they make the money. So the dealership does not care at all. The manufacturer, though, actually does have an incentive to cut down on markups because it doesn't make them money and it does make them look bad. It appears as though they are not only saying that, but saying that if you do offer your ZR1X allocation publicly and you start taking bids, for example, or you're trying to get a ton over MSRP, it does appear like they are going to pull allocations from dealers. So at least I would say it seems as though GM is trying to cut back on this practice as much as they can. Again, they are limited in what they can do, but it seems like they are trying to cut back on that. And I have this from good authority from multiple sources, but mainly Justin from Horsepower Obsessed. And he knows, of course, a lot of people in the know who work for GM. And I also got the same type of message from other people. So I do think that's accurate. And I think that GM is trying their best to cut down on these insane markups. Now let's get into the insane markups here. And of course, after my upload on the X where I said I'm getting one, people know that I have a ZR1 now, a regular one, and I got multiple dealers reaching out and the prices I got were absolutely unreal. Again, I did not plan to make this upload because we all know about markups. So I wasn't gonna make an upload like it's groundbreaking, but truly I have never seen markups like this in my life. So I got an offer from a dealer. Multiple. Let's start with the little ones. So I got as low as 130K over, which I think is insane. Now I paid 100K over for my ZR1, but as a content creator, I have a little more wiggle room there because getting one early makes sense from a financial standpoint for me because I can get the content out there early and I can try to make the money back. Now, did it make any money back based on the sales for giveaways and viewers and all that? I don't know. Probably not, but at least I'm an idiot, but at least I can kind of justify being an idiot. 130K though, even 100K it's stupid. I admit it's stupid. 130 is crazy. I also got offers at 150 and I did get the most insane one of all. And I heard from another person who got an offer at 200K over MSRP. Now picture this. Okay, so the car is gonna be fully loaded 260, 70. Even a lower optioned one is gonna be 230, 240 probably. So you're now talking about not a $240,000 car. You're talking about a nearly $500,000 car. And look, I think the performance, it might still be worth that, but that's not the cost of the car. It might still be performance-wise with the numbers it's putting out. That might not still be a bad deal compared to its competition out there, but that is an insane price. And the issue, of course, is they are going to make tons of them. This is not a limited car in any way. They're going to make as many as they possibly can. They're gonna crank them out. And within a year, these cars are gonna be MSRP. Already, the regular ZR1 is selling for MSRP or really close to it now. And it hasn't even been a full year yet since the first delivery. So, paying that much is just insane to me. Now, if you want to get the car first, I guess you got to do what you got to do, but I feel like that is totally crazy. And that's not even the most egregious one. I swear to you, this is real. I'm not gonna name names because I don't wanna get the sales guy in trouble. I don't wanna start a big storm here because, I have a relationship, but this is the most insane thing I've ever heard. I was offered a car that is like built, so it's ready, which is crazy, I didn't know that. But I was offered a car at $300,000. So we're talking now whatever plus 300, we're talking almost, by the time you pay sales tax, you're talking about $600,000 for a ZR1X. And look, I'm sure you're having trouble believing that, but I promise you that is true. You saw other people saying 200. I've seen other numbers that are insane, but yes, 300,000. And of course, like the whole deal was, you got to keep it on the down low. You can't talk about it, this, that, and the other. And I said, yeah, no thanks. And look, if you want to pay that, you can get a car, but I just can't even believe $300,000 over MSRP. That is crazy. That is just so crazy. And again, they're not the only ones. We've already seen in the short time since I released my video and releasing this upload, I've received dozens of messages, many I haven't even gotten to look at yet. And I already saw one that was 200K over. I'm sure there's others in there. So it's not like it's even one dealer doing it. They're all trying to do it. Which I get it, you know, you got to make money, but I just feel like that is insane. And I don't even know what the point of this upload is other than to say, can you believe it?
Can you believe that?
Because I can't. I feel like, again, I was expecting markups, but holy crap, that is nuts. So that's the current situation. I guess no, then, to answer this question, no, I'm not gonna be getting a ZR1X anytime soon if that's the price. So I guess we'll be waiting for a while to see if the prices come down. But yeah, markups on the ZR1X are already out of this world. What do you think? What would you pay over? And yeah, what do you have to say to these dealers asking these prices? That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.